Hello, everybody. This is Cogent K9. Today we are looking at the President of the United States, Donald Trump. He just gave a speech on the border crisis, and we're at Politico, and we're going to be reading this article to see some of the fibs that he told, because Trump is a compulsive liar. He has lied from the beginning from when I ever saw him on television to now. He has not changed his technique of just completely lampooning people and lying every which way to try to get what he wants. And of course, it's not going to change when he addresses the nation. He's still going to, because it doesn't matter at this point. Trump has done so many insane things that it's just expected at this point from everybody, which is a sad sight to behold. President Donald Trump made several false, misleading statements about illegal immigration and border security in a nationally televised speech Tuesday evening. The speech, intended to win political support for Trump's proposed $5.7 billion wall along the southern border, came as a partial shutdown of the federal government over the matter stretched into its third week, with affected government employees expected to miss their first payday on Friday. Wow, if I worked for the government, I would be pissed. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. So if you miss a paycheck, that's bad news. You're maybe not getting groceries. You're maybe not paying your rent. Actual bad things can happen. So that is, in my eyes, unacceptable when you're trying to get money for something that does not seem immediate and also unnecessary. Here are some of the untruths and distortions in Trump's speech, most of which he's uttered before. I'm speaking to you because there is a growing and humanitarian and security crisis at our southern border. Every day, Customs and Border Patrol agents encounter thousands of illegal immigrants trying to enter our country. We are out of space to hold them, and we have no way to promptly return them back home to their country. Well, I will say this. It is difficult to return people back to their country when they show up. It is difficult. So I will say that. But what's ridiculous is the way that Trump tries to skew this stuff. The way he tries to make it seem like an actual crisis. As in we haven't been experiencing people showing up at the border ever since we've been a nation. We've had this happening for a long time, but Trump wants to pretend like it's worse than ever right now. But I remember him just recently saying the levels are lower than ever before because he's trying to boast about how his new policies have gotten less people to show up at the border. But now that he wants money for the wall, people are showing up in the thousands. So the man's just a flip-flopper liar to the most extreme level. The notion that the number of border crossing represents a crisis is not true. The number of people caught crossing at the border, the standard metric for determining the volume of illegal crossings generally, remains below annual levels under President Barack Obama and far below the highest levels of the 1990s and early 2000s. Border Patrol arrested 396,579 people at the U.S.-Mexico border in fiscal year 2018. The agency arrested, on average, 400,751 people per year over the previous decade. So, it's not so much about, that's still a high number to have showing up at a border and have to try to accommodate, but that's not what this is about. This is about Trump just completely bending numbers, skewing facts in order to push an agenda. I just made a video about this yesterday, and by no means is it acceptable to skew the numbers to try to implement a policy, pull the wool over the American people's eyes in order to get them to bite on some sort of policy with false information. But that's what Trump's been doing forever. Over the years, thousands of Americans have been brutally killed by those who illegally entered our country. That distorts the truth. Several studies show that immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than native-born Americans. A June 2008 report by the Libertarian Cato Institute found that legal immigrants were roughly one-fifth as likely to be incarcerated as native-born Americans. Undocumented immigrants were half as likely to be incarcerated, according to the report, which drew on a 2016 data from the American Community Survey, do undocumented immigrants commit crimes? Of course, but a lower rate than their native-born counterparts. Right, so the statement may be true that people were brutally murdered by illegal immigrants, but the way he's painting it to say that the illegal immigrants are somehow incredibly more dangerous than the actual native-born Americans is just not true. Now, I understand how someone could be angry if, let's say, their child was murdered or their loved one was murdered and it was by an illegal immigrant that was never supposed to be here in the country in the first place. But again, that's not what it's about. What it's about is Trump trying to skew and scare the American population into building a huge, expensive wall. I mean, it's fear-mongering at its finest, and this is what the Republican Party always does. They are notorious for fear-mongering in order to get people to vote on policy. Not really, and not for the right reasons. If you're just voting out of complete fear without having all the information, and you think Trump's going to give you the correct information, oh boy, do I got news for you. And I also did look into this study that they're talking about from the Cato Institute, and they don't have a lot of data on illegal immigrants, but they do have some data. They believe they have enough to show that illegal immigrants aren't these crazed lunatics. And it would make sense, kind of. If you are in a place illegally, you're probably not going to try to commit too many crimes as to not be deported. So it kind of falls in line with common sense that, yeah, they're not going to go around committing a bunch of crimes given that they're trying not to be caught by Border Patrol or by, ICE, I believe it would be. As a part of an overall approach to border security, law enforcement professionals requested $5.7 billion for a physical barrier. At the request of Democrats, it will be a steel barrier rather than a concrete wall. And so Trump goes, yeah, and the Democrats want a steel wall. So that's why it's taken so long. And that's why we can't get the money. It's crazy how much, literally the facts can be out there. And Trump will just completely lie and say some shit like, yeah, no, the Dems want a steel wall. That's why it's taken so long, people. What a dumbass. Congratulations, Democrats. Congressional Democrats never asked that the wall be made of steel rather than concrete. When Trump first said he was making that concession, Democrat Party leaders said they didn't care. There's no requirement that this government be shut down while we deliberate the future of any barrier, and whether it's a fence or a wall. Senator Dick Durbin said on CBS Face the Nation, yeah, I don't think we need to shut down the government again or declare a crisis just to get what he wants. But that's what Trump does. He makes it seem like it needs to be done now. This is highly important. This is stuff that we've never dealt with before as a nation. And I guess his base just want to believe that stuff. You just feed into people's bias about immigrants and about Democrats, and they'll bite. They'll believe it, and they won't do any of their own research because it just feeds into their own bias. And that's exactly what Trump is. If Trump supporters don't know by now that he is a liar and will say whatever it takes to cozy up to his base and the people that are going to vote for him the next time. That's what he's doing. If you can't see that, then you're not looking. You're looking completely in the opposite direction and trying not to see it. The wall would also be paid for indirectly by the great new trade deal we made with Mexico. Here he's still going on about Mexico building the wall. I mean, that would be unprecedented. For Mexico's just yeah, we'll build it to keep people out of your country. Yeah, fuck that. Oh my God. And yeah, they just have that kind of money laying around just to give to us for the wall, right? That's not true. Trump vowed during his presidential campaign that Mexico would pay for the construction of the wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. But Mexico has refused to pay. Yeah, I remember the president said, fuck off, Trump, or the ex-president of Mexico did. He's like, are you kidding me? The president now insists that Mexico will pay for the project through a renegotiated NAFTA agreement known as the USMCA. The deal still needs congressional approval and isn't yet in effect. But even if it were in effect, any economic gains from the deal would go to private individuals and companies, not the U.S. Treasury. Well, yeah, that's what Trump does. He has come into office and he's cut taxes for the rich while putting tax cuts on the poor to actually run out. So this all falls right in line with Trump, and really it just gets sickening to look at all the time and to talk about. And that's why I don't cover a lot of Trump lately, just because, oh wow, he did something asinine again. He's a deplorable person. Yeah, that makes sense. Can't wait till he's out of office. But what it seems to say from here is that there actually might be an agreement, but it hasn't taken effect yet. Now I'm going to have to look into that. I'm sure that it's nothing like what Trump says, if it's anything at all. So never take what Trump says at face value. Never take what any politician says at face value, or anybody for that matter. Always look it up. Always do your own research. But again, the Orange Man himself, being a jackhole in the White House, giving an address to the nation, spewing venom to the entire country, lying out his asshole. So there you go. That's fucking Trump for you. But anyways, thought I'd share that with you today. Catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.